You are listening to Love Your Practice with Dr. Laura Mock. I'm a general dentist, a practice owner, and a certified life coach. I teach women who own dental practices to lead with intention and literally fall in love with their businesses. Keep listening and you will see how learning to love your practice turns into loving your life too. Hello, and welcome to another episode of my podcast, Love Your Practice. Today, I am interviewing another client of mine, Dr. Ashley Izadi, who has had some wonderful results from being in our mastermind for 6 months. She says some really insightful things in this interview, and maybe she compliments me a little bit, which I don't mind. But mostly, this interview is for anyone who's thinking about a transformation, thinking maybe they want to improve things at their practice or in their lives. Let's listen in as she describes her journey through coaching. Thanks, ladies. We'll see you on the other side. Okay, I would like to welcome to our podcast, Dr. Ashley Izadi. Ashley, thank you so much for joining us today.
Laura, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me on your podcast.
It's been such a pleasure getting to know you, and I've had such a good time sort of watching your awareness and your intentionality increase, and watch the stress go down and the enjoyment go up. And so I invited you to come on here because you've had such a good experience. I thought it might
I really
be,
have. Thank
yeah,
you.
I thought it might be nice for you to share with others, so that if there's anyone else who's thinking maybe they need this, they can think about your experience. So tell us a little bit about you. Like, where are you from? What's your background? Tell us about your practice and your family. Just give us a little snippet of you.
Okay, so I am a Baltimore native. I grew up in Baltimore, Maryland, and did all of my education here. I went to college here and then to University of Maryland Dental School. And then I did 2 years at the AGD residency. And when I finished school, I stayed on to teach for a little bit and then got really busy in private practice and eventually bought my own practice with my husband in 2012. And at that point, we had twins that were about 6 months old when we bought the practice.
I don't know how you did that. Wasn't your husband still busy doing other stuff?
Yeah, so he was in stereo cross. Yep. So it hasn't, we always say we just do everything at once. We just dive right in.
So you had twins and a third baby, which was the practice.
Yes, third baby, which is the practice. And we have 2 fur babies. We have a pit bull rescue and our newest addition, little Ariana Grande. It's a cute little Yorkie.
That's who I see sometimes sitting on your lap while you're like in the mastermind driving, right?
Yes. She's awesome.
I love that. You're like triple tasking. You're taking care of your dog, driving to the next thing, and learning about yourself at the same time.
Exactly. It's fun.
Yeah, that's good. So how big is your practice now? It's grown pretty big, hasn't it, since 2012?
Yeah, so I would say we have about 11 ops and we have over 20 staff members right now. So it's a really fun and lively place. We have an amazing team culture, and we just focus so much on the patient experience, but it all starts with having a positive team culture. So everyone's highly trained, everyone communicates well, and we really put everything we have into our practice.
And just as a side note, and maybe like a little compliment to you, I'm super curious about how you do your hygiene, because I've never met anyone who's like, I put my best assistant with the hygienist, and we do sort of like assisted hygiene, and where the assistant talks to the patients about treatment plans and does the imaging. And I put my very best person there, and I'm like, ooh, I want to see how that works.
Yeah, it's awesome. We just added to our hygiene assistant team, and we just did a really big training yesterday on the flow and how to educate patients and scanning and all of the above. So it's really exciting. And they love it too, because they're educated and they can share with the patients. And
for sure. And you scan your hygiene patients, right?
Yes.
And
that's the way we can
sell a lot of clear aligner ortho in that.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, we do.
Yeah. You could probably teach a class on that just in case you get bored and you need more things to do.
It's something that might be coming up soon, actually, so stay tuned.
That's good. That's good. Well, I'll be your student when you do that. So anyway, going back to you and your journey through coaching, do you remember how you first found out that there was a dentist life coach that you could sign up with?
That is really cool. I will tell you. I was in the process of looking for a coach,
Mhm.
and I found you, and I found you through your podcast,
Okay.
and I immediately liked you. You were cute, and you were quirky, and smart, and driven, and so we met, and it was, now that I think back to our initial conversation, I mean, I am just a different person now. That
Really?
was just a completely, when you checked in with me, like our conversation would be completely different now if I was coming to you. So
Mhm.
definitely been a big transformation.
So what was going on with you back then? Like, why did you want to coach? What were you trying to improve? What was your practice like? I mean, it was already busy, right?
Yeah, I think, everything with COVID was really transforming me. And I, for the first time, was having thoughts that I've never had before, and I couldn't identify with that. And then I was judging myself on my thoughts and these beliefs that I had. And it was a really hard place to be. It was a very confusing place to be. And so, I think that can sometimes hold us back from living the life we want to live and having the practice we want to have. So I've always loved my practice, and it's always been my baby, and I've always given it 110% or more. But now I see things completely differently. It's like I have a different set of glasses on.
Give me an example of what you mean by how you were judging yourself with your thoughts. Like you were telling yourself you shouldn't be thinking something, or
Exactly. Or like, you shouldn't be feeling sad about this. Or, um, I think it was a lot of sadness. My team was struggling because life problems are still happening. And then COVID on top of that. And everyone was in such a fragile state. So a lot of empathy for my team. Um, I think, and then also, I think that coupled with everything else that was happening just in our world, it was a lot going on. And then I would should on myself, and
and what is that? Just for the listeners, what does that mean? You should on yourself.
so that's when you start telling yourself, I should have done this, I should have thought that. And so now what I'm able to do is I'm okay with those sad thoughts. I'm okay with sitting down and looking at it and sitting in that sadness,
Mhm.
um, and understanding it. And then when you understand it and you understand why you're feeling that way, then that's okay. And then you know that there's a way out.
Yes.
And then when the time is right, you like, I have the skills now to work through pretty much any situation, any thought that I'm having, any belief that I have, and really
Mhm.
taking control of my emotions.
Yeah, your awareness is like, I mean, starting from the beginning, and you did all the homework,
Yeah.
you did the work that's required on your personal end, where you have to say to yourself, what am I thinking right now? What am I feeling? And how do I want to feel? And understanding the journey to get to where you want to feel, that's,
Exactly.
and then
Exactly.
that's how you get to, now you said you already loved your practice, but this is how we get to loving where we are,
Yes.
not hating it, but being like, this is okay. This is where I'm at, and it's beautiful.
I agree. I think the acceptance piece
Mhm.
has been huge. And as we are a group of highly driven, mostly type A women, and we have really high expectations of ourselves and the people in our lives and our practices.
Mhm.
And I feel like the acceptance of, okay, maybe I'm not where I want to be with the staff member or with a process or anything like that, but that you can identify, accept where you are, be
Mhm.
sad that you're in that place, or however you process things,
However,
but
yeah.
then know where you want to be, how you want to feel about it, and then be able to really embrace the journey to get there.
Mm-hmm. Now you mentioned that we're a group of like type A ladies that meet together. And I'm just wondering if you can tell the listeners, what's it like to meet once a week with a bunch of women who own dental practices?
It's wonderful. It's awesome. So I think there's so much just common struggles and so many common thoughts and so many common feelings. And I think what's really valuable for me is seeing that other people feel the same way about certain things. And so you're like, okay, I'm not the only one that's struggling with this right now. And again, shitting on yourself is something that a lot of people do. So I think that raising my awareness to see how other people are judging themselves helps
Mhm.
me to be more conscious and evaluate how I'm thinking and moving through something. But it's awesome. We have a great sense of community. We really get to know each other. We get to know each other's practices. And I think also, I think it's normal as humans to think that the greenest grass are, oh, she has a large practice. I want a large practice, and then I look at people that have smaller practices and I'm like, oh, that must be so nice, but then I see that they have other struggles and they're dependent on certain things. So just, I think the acceptance is huge. I think the community is huge. And I think just knowing that you have people to support you, we have the Facebook group and a WhatsApp chat. And I feel like that's a wonderful way to support each other and continue to connect, in between the sessions that are weekly.
Right. And just for anyone who's listening, sometimes the mastermind participants check in with me on asynchronous video chat. They've got something going on. They can talk to me privately anytime they need to. And then of course we have our community too. But I just, I used to do all these one-on-one coachings and I was like, all these women are going through the same thing and they need each other. So
Yeah.
I'm the facilitator, but you all are creating the mastermind process that we have, and the support that you give each other, and the similarity that you find so that you realize that you're not alone is
Yeah,
something that I couldn't give to you if we were one-on-one.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. It really is
Oh.
great. And I do love our Marco Polos. I love that you're available on the Marco Polo and that, we just get to connect one-on-one like that. That's really great.
Yeah, because sometimes you have something pop up between meetings, or the meeting was full of mastermind material that we were working on, but you still have this one employee that you need to talk about or something. And just having that access there, I think, is like an extra bonus.
I want to share this. One thing that I really appreciate about you and the way that you lead the meetings is that you always meet us where we are. So you always come in with a plan, but if someone's really struggling, you'll spend the time to work through the model, which is what you teach us.
Mhm.
And I don't know, I think it's a really wonderful gift to be able to offer, and that people truly get vulnerable and open up. And then that allows us to think and reevaluate and connect and have that common understanding. So I love that you meet us where we are. I think that's wonderful.
Oh, well, I'm happy to do it because I just really get a thrill from helping. And I don't know about you, but before I was ever in group coaching, I was like, well, it'll never be my turn. But then when I was in group coaching, I was like, oh, when other people are getting coached, I'm learning at least as much as the person who's talking. And then I'm
Yeah.
very grateful for their vulnerability.
Yes. Agree.
Learn that too.
So
Okay.
exciting. It really
Yeah,
is.
it is. Yeah. So tell me, now that you've been in this program for about 6 months,
Yeah.
you've been doing this work, investing in understanding your mind and your feelings and stuff like that. I'd like to know what's changed for you in your practice and in your personal life. How have things changed?
That's a great question. So, things are a lot the same and a lot different, I would say.
Okay.
I think that now I have the ability to pause and truly look at the situation by removing myself from it and really looking at things objectively. Um, and I kind of take that through all facets of my life. And we've learned so many valuable lessons. And I think one of the most amazing lessons for me was when we learned about the manual and how we have these manuals for everything in our life, even inanimate objects, even our husbands, even our dogs, probably. And so for me, I think that that was one of the best conversations that we had. But I love our conversation about time that we're doing now. And, we did a section on money that was also, so it's really touching every aspect of my life. And that is actually really freeing and very exciting just to have that liberation in my thoughts, in my beliefs, and just the way that I see situations. So it's great. And I'm teaching my kids too, which is great.
Oh, yes. I love being able to teach this stuff to my kids. But just for anyone who hasn't been through the lessons before, how would you describe to a friend what the manual is?
So the manual is an expectation or a list of expectations that we have. So, for example, when we get in our car in the morning, our expectation or manual for our car is that it's going to start. Maybe it's going to warm our buns, but it's going to get us to work. It's going to get us to take the kids to school. And then we have manuals for people in our life too. So, whatever that might be and whoever that might be, it could be your mom, it could be your husband, it could be your sister. And I think for that, you realize that you have these unspoken rules in your head for the things you wish they do for you or how they approach you. And then you realize that's all in your head and they don't even know that you have these expectations.
They don't even know. They have no idea.
You have no
And we
idea.
have this unspoken expectation that once they obey these manuals, that we're going to feel a certain way because we're misattributing our feelings, our dependency of our feelings on their actions. But we find out that our feelings are actually from within ourselves,
Exactly.
regardless of what the people or the inanimate objects do or our practice, because we talked about how we have manuals for our practice, don't we?
Exactly. And that is so liberating once you realize that you don't need to have expectations for anyone. And also, if you do, then you need to voice it and let them know. And as Brene Brown says, paint it done. Let them know exactly what you need and when you need it by.
Yeah, clear is kind. Let's
Clear
make
is
sure
kind.
it's out there.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, that's great. I'm so glad that that's changed your life. It changed mine. I mean, like if I had to name one principle that's made a bigger difference for me, it's that one, because that's when I took responsibility for my own feelings.
Agreed. Agreed. And I'll tell you another thing that's happened to me by doing the work is, I used to do a lot of models. And so the model is what you teach us in terms of like how we're thinking, what we're feeling, what our action is, and, what our power is at the end of it.
Mhm.
And initially, I was doing a lot of models all the time because you recommend that we do it based on like one situation at a time, one fact at a time. So it's very clear. And I used to do a lot of models. And now I can start with one
Mhm.
and realize I don't even need to do the rest because I'm like checking myself. I'm like, oh, okay. I just need to shift this, and it all comes together beautifully. So
Yes.
that's
And
awesome.
usually what we're shifting is what we're thinking in our minds, how we're looking at a certain situation or a
The
fact.
power of thought is mind blowing. It's amazing.
It sounds so woozy woozy, but it's so true. You
Yeah,
can change how you're looking at something and everything else cascades after that.
exactly. And I will say, I think initially I did struggle a little bit with that because I am very factual. I'm a scientist. And, to just say, oh, I'm going to take control of my thoughts, it seems very bizarre, but it's actually so powerful and empowering.
Mhm.
And now I'm teaching my children this at the age of 10. And I'm just like, you guys are going to have awesome lives because you're going to realize that just because Johnny didn't want to play with you on the playground has nothing to do with you, or whatever it might be. So it's
Yeah. Yeah, I wish we could teach it to every child in elementary school.
great.
Or wouldn't it have been nice if someone just took like 10 minutes to explain that at the beginning of dental school? So that we weren't training ourselves to be ashamed all the time and to and to not be aware of the fact that we were telling ourselves we were terrible and turning that into thought habits.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay. What would you say to someone who's listening to this and is like, well, maybe I should join the mastermind? I mean, what would you say, like, to help her sort of work out the details or the pros and cons? Do you have any advice for her?
Honestly, I feel like everybody would benefit from this. I truly, truly believe that. I mean, unless someone has already done their work, I just feel like jump in, give it a try, see what you can learn from it, and give it, a good couple of months so you can allow yourself to make those different neural pathway connections and truly allow it to become integrated into how you think. But that doesn't mean that I'm always like calm and collected and I can work through every situation clearly immediately, but I know that I can get through it and I don't need to reach out for support all the time. And that's really empowering.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I mean, I'm the one who's over here trying to get people to join, right? So maybe I'm biased, but like everybody needs to know this stuff. And especially if you own a dental practice, if you've got a human brain and you own a dental practice, you've got a special recipe for crazy. And I can help like pick that apart so that we can enjoy our journey as we go.
I see that. And I see that with the women in the group, the newcomers, the way that they process situations versus the people that have been with you for longer than me. And it's so beautiful having this melting pot and really being able to learn from everyone and see how far you've come too. So that's also really exciting.
Yeah. I like that you use the word melting pot. I feel like I just feel every time I look at your guys' faces, I feel so proud that we get different levels of awareness, but also it's such a diverse group. And it makes me feel, I don't know, just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Proud.
Yeah. It's a diverse group. And also, I love that we motivate each other to learn the new thing or try something different, whether it's in life or the practice. So,
Yeah. Or take more time off. Or like we were
yeah.
just talking before we started about how I like to, like, if I have a problem, I'll be like, how can I solve this problem with money? And just like learning from each other about ways to make our lives easier.
Yeah. So I have to tell you this, it'll make you really proud. So we are in a time study curriculum. I don't know what you would call it.
In the middle of a unit on
In the
time.
middle of a unit on time. Thank you. And one of the things that we've talked about so far is going ahead and booking our vacations. And so my husband and I had a CEO meeting yesterday and we planned out all of our vacations for the rest of the year. And I am blown. Like my mind is just blown. I'm like, who am I right now? I am living my life with intention. And that's another thing I wanted to share. I really want this message to come out is that I feel so much more intentional in my life. I'm not there yet. So I still have a ways to go, but I'm leading with intention. I am leading my coworkers, leading my family. I am leading myself with intention and focus on what I want and what I want to do and how I want to spend my time. And that's been really, really powerful.
That's amazing. I'm so happy for you. I'm just like really, really, really proud of you and us that we're doing it.
Thank you. Agreed.
Is there anything else you want to say? This has been a really great conversation, but is there anything else that's like burning inside you want to share or ask or anything?
Thank you. No, I just want people to reach out. I want them to connect with you. I want them to join one of our group sessions and just see how awesome it is, and just raise, your happiness in life and take control of your thoughts because that really our thoughts lead to our emotions and our feelings. And so once you realize that, then it just your mind stays on this and I don't want this to sound too woo woo, but this is another thing that we learn is that when you think in a positive way, when you lead with a grateful heart, when you lead with love, you see more of it, you feel more of it. And then your actions and your choices show that to everyone that's in your life, and especially yourself.
You just get to enjoy your journey a lot more. You're in the same exact situation. You still own a practice. You still have the same employees and the patients, but you're walking through here going, this is amazing.
Yes.
Instead of being pulled down by your brain's automatic tendency to be negative for its own purposes. You know, we can't be mad at our brain for doing that, but we can rise above it too.
Yes.
Yeah. So if anyone's listening to this and they're like, oh my gosh, I think I need more of this. In the show notes is a link to my next free webinar. It's called How to Love Your Practice by Changing Only One Thing. And that's going to be a prelude to opening up our enrollment, which only happens about 3 times a year is all I'm going to be doing. And it's going to be opening for a mid-October start date. So if you're hearing this right now and you're like, this is me, click it, go to loveyourpractice.net and go to the podcast section, you'll find, or the mastermind section, you'll find a spot to register for the webinar. Dr. Ashley Izadi, thank you so much for joining us. This has been awesome. And I'm so proud of you. Good job.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you. And if anyone has any questions, I would be happy to help answer any questions that anyone might have.
That's great. How do you want them to contact you if they have questions?
You guys can contact me on Instagram. My handle is at Dr. Ashley Azadi, DrAshleyIzadi. And I'd be happy to answer any question, jump on a call, whatever you need, because ladies, this is life-changing.
And actually, why don't you follow her anyway? I'll put it in the show notes because she has really funny little videos she does on Instagram. So you should probably be watching it anyway.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks again for being on the program. And I will talk to you at the next mastermind session.
I'll see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Love Your Practice with Dr. Laura Mock. I would love to meet you. To join our movement, find the Facebook group called Love Your Practice and request to join. If you can't find it, just send me a message and I'll add ya. You'll find me there helping all of my ladies to fall in love with their businesses and have a better life.